Joining me now is Congresswoman Mary Gay Scanlon. Congresswoman, I appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
The House Judiciary Committee held a field hearing in New York City on Monday about the victims of violent crimes in Manhattan. Before you arrived at the hearing, you categorized it as a, quote, piece of performative nonsense and a cheap political stunt. Now that you participated in the hearing, do you still feel that way, and how do you feel today?
I think that's accurate. I mean, it was billed as being, it was supposed to be a hearing about victims of crime in Manhattan. There was no reason to choose Manhattan. There was no reason to drag the Judiciary Committee and all the expense of transporting all the committee members up there and the staff up there, particularly when Manhattan, of all places, is actually seeing a decreasing crime rate. So it was pretty clear from the outset that was driving this hearing was the chairman's interest in trying to discredit the Manhattan district attorney, who just the week or so before had indicted and arrested the former president. And of course, Chairman Jordan is one of the former president's biggest allies.
I do want to read you a description of what the committee said that the hearing was about. This was on its website. The hearing, Victims of Violent Crime in Manhattan, will examine how Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's pro-crime, anti-victim policies have led to an increase in violent crime and a dangerous community for New York City residents. When you were first alerted about this field hearing, what were you told?
Our first alert to it, I believe, was a tweet or some kind of social media notice, which came pretty late during our district week.
And what was the goal that was relayed to you once you asked questions about it?
Pretty much just what you said there. I mean, we didn't get a lot of information. We got whatever the committee had posted on the website or social media. We were basically learning about the hearing in the same time frame that the public did, because the chairman wasn't sharing a lot of information with the Democratic members of the committee. If there had been genuine engagement and discussion of what we should be trying to do, we probably would have asked, as we did in the hearing, that we focus on best practices for reducing crime, that we focus on what our constituents are most concerned about, which is reducing gun violence.
Obviously, there were witnesses there that were either themselves or had members of their family that were victims of violent crime. You sat there, you listened to their stories. What do you think about them and their stories yesterday?
Well, as I said in the hearing, I felt badly that they had been used, in effect, by the majority members of the committee to drive this hearing. Clearly, these are people who have suffered from various forms of violence and crimes in their lives, and your heart couldn't help but go out to them. And I admire their courage for speaking up and trying to change things, to try to turn that pain into action and to actual change for their communities. But as I said in the hearing, I'm sorry that that hearing is not what's going to do it. We are not going to see legislative work come out of that hearing. The majority clearly had no interest in digging into what works or doesn't work. They came with a set of talking points and tried to exploit the situation and exploit these people's pain and grief in order to take some hits at the district attorney, who had actually had the temerity to try to hold Mr. Trump accountable for some, what the grand jury has said are criminal violations.
Obviously, Republicans and Democrats had very different characterizations of this hearing. Ranking Member Jerry Nadler called it a weaponization of the House Judiciary Committee. And Chairman Jim Jordan said that, quote, here in Manhattan, the scales of justice are weighed down by politics, and that the DA is, quote, looking for opportunities to advance a political agenda. What is your reaction to his assessment?
Well, I think his statement there really points out exactly what we were talking about. He went into that hearing saying that the district attorney for Manhattan had a purely political agenda, which I think if you look at the statistics and what the district attorney there has done is not true. They've actually seen big reductions in a variety of types of crime in Manhattan. during his tenure. So it seems pretty obvious, even from Mr. Jordan's statement, opening statement, that he went in there trying to score some political points.